I will yeah, so right now I actually started recording for the side video because I will re-upload that stream. So this is Master Kamba, aka Multi-Topic Talk, and I'm very happy to have a guest back. You can now present yourself.
Hey guys, it's me, Mr. Cannon. I'm back once again, aka semi-original guy. Good to be back. And yeah, let's have a good one here.
Do you have mouse control?
Yes,
That's,
I think so.
That's kind of cool. Okay, what do you think about the map?
Solid map. Done this one a bunch of times. This is, I think it's actually in circulation in League right now.
Yeah, I am kind of happy about that. It just came back. I was very happy to see it back. A lot of maps I like are back, like the static, this one. It's about time. That rotation is awful, but it's much better than the previous one.
No, for sure.
I think it's really hard to beat the previous one. The previous one is just godly awful. But what were you about to say?
I don't remember. You know what? I was just going to mention that this map is always a classic, right?
Yeah.
You always have really interesting stuff that happens on this map.
Yeah.
Because, well, the center in general, it's very front shiftable. So, you know, an army could just pop up out of nowhere at any time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, CO choice. Why Lash?
Well, you know, I was gonna go Sammy, but then you were Sammy, right?
Oh, right.
So, so I was just like, well, I don't want to pick Andy because you know I always pick Andy, and even though I like him a lot, you know, I just figured I go for a change. So I figured, like, well, I never really pick Lash, so I wanted to see how it would go, you know. So I just picked Lash, and I was like, all right, let's go. See what happens.
Why Acid Rain? Black Hole are cooler.
Isn't Acid Rain the default for this? Or did I pick Acid Rain?
You picked, because the default is blue.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I picked Acid Rain because dark green is my favorite color. And, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I think my actual, like, the theme color when you check my profile here is actually Acid Rain, too. So, I think in general, just, I don't know, Acid Rain is cool. Why not? Black Hole is alright. But the thing with Black Hole is sometimes I find I forget about units that I'm looking at. Because, like, sometimes I think that they're weighted, but they're not. So, I figured, like, you know, just go with a classic and hope for the best. That's about it.
And it's kind of cool because I did hesitate between Sami and Lash. And because here's the thing, I want to main both CO and Tier 3, but I really don't know which one I should pick. They are like the hardest in Tier 3 as well, in my own opinion. Like Rachel, Sami, and like Lash, they are like the hardest in the bunch. Because Andy is kind of easy, it's just a push button. Kindle, it's just a push button and sometimes better timing. Drake, it's just a push button again. What else is in Tier 3? Sonja is kind of boring. What else is in Tier 3? I think I got over all
pretty much about it.
Yeah.
See, the thing that I find about Lash is you have to be, like, you have to position yourself really good, and you have to be, like, super sneaky. Because, like, well, Prime Tactics, she gets 0 movement costs, right? So you can pull out some crazy stuff from that, and you can, like, put yourself in, like, some really good positions. But aside from that, like, she doesn't get, like, no normal movement bonus. You have to play with the terrain all the time. So the issue is some of your opponent could lock you out of, like, all those good pushing places. Like, they could put their units on the cities or the forests, and then, you know, you would only get, like, the 10% bonus from the plane or, like, nothing from the road. So that's tough. But if you actually manage to get yourself there first, you got a pretty solid position right there. So
Yeah. And Lash is kinda scary, let's be honest. She's scary. When she's holding her super, you're like, what is going on? When will she attack?
what is this woman doing? She's planning something.
So let's do this, man. You are in charge.
Oh, cool. One of these days, I'm gonna open up with a mech just out of nowhere, so I don't have to say standard infantry builds, and it's gonna be a good day. Actually, it's gonna be a terrible day, but standard infantry builds. So, yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. So let's see. Same movement. I didn't go for this city right away. I decided to go right up here.
Why?
No. Well, because I knew you were Sammy. So my thought was, like, you were probably going to try to rush these buildings here in the center and, like, take them right away.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking you were going to do. So I was like, well, the sooner I can get some infantry on these cities here, the better. But, we'll see what happens.
I like what I think is going on with Sammy. People think because she has a better capture rate, it's a good reason to just rush building and cap further. But I think it's also very risky, because if your opponent goes for the early recon, or if your opponent is really aggressive, he will shut you down and you will lose in the unit count. So I think you should play Sammy the same way as you should play any other seals. However, spam copters? Spam copters.
Spam copters. That's what you should do.
That's the only change. Spam copters. Anyway, let's keep going.
The good thing about what you said, too, is if you just play normally, that means that if you can get, like, a really strong front line or whatever, once the engagements finally start happening and properties become, available, you'll be able to put your infantry on there and then get the 1.5 capture rating from that and easily flip properties, which I think actually happens in this game, like, a couple times, because I think I was down for pretty much the entire game, but yeah, we'll see what happens here. Like, most of the time I'm always down in income in most of my games, but, I have more wins than losses, so most of the time you don't necessarily need to be winning in funds, but I mean, if you can be winning in funds, then yeah, that's a lot better. I can tell you that much, because the struggle is real sometimes.
Yeah.
So you got an APC up here, eh?
Yeah. So it's
where
Sammy. You need transport, and the other reason I want to boost up my infantries and speed up my economy as well. Usually in this map I like the APC build. This map, the Static, and Stalingrad are like 3 maps where I like to get APCs. These are like the top 3 maps where I like to play APC. That's also why I like the few changes they made in this current rotation, because my favorite maps for APC are there. So I'm like, at last I can have some APC play instead of like Fetcher Walker that pisses me off, Creepy Crawly that doesn't really need any. Hi Cartel, how are you? Yeah, it's the thing with APCs. It's really sad. A lot of maps don't require them, or if you build them, you will just waste money because they won't pay themselves back. But yeah, the Redemption World is a good map for APC, because even if it's not the biggest one, there's a lot of buildings that are kind of far away. And in case you didn't realize, or I think you probably realized because you're better than me, but most of the building are like 4 square away instead of 3. So there's no big capture chain in this map. So I think APC are better because there's no big capture chain. And I am good, Cartel. So
that is
yeah,
one of the very interesting things about this map is, yeah, most of the buildings are actually square away from doing any sort of capture chain. So you really gotta sort of space out your units like properly in order to get properly super fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, Sammy also gets +1 movement with her transport units, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so her and
That's another
Sensei both
reason
get
to
that.
play APC as Sami. I think Sami overall need transport. She will rely much more on transport than any other seal because her day-to-day give better movement range.
Yeah, well, seeing this APC now actually makes a little bit more sense to something that happens a little bit later in the map too. So let's go ahead and keep going here. So I built an APC too.
Oh,
Very,
you stole my
very
opening.
interesting. Which is kind of funny, right? Because
Yeah.
I usually wouldn't build an APC, but I had a thought, and I was like, yeah, let's go for it.
Wow.
I was hopefully. I
feel
can't remember
better
what.
now.
Yeah, I can't remember what my plan was, but I think I was gonna try to like shoot up to like this property with it, like super quick.
I remember you rushing your way into one of my buildings. I had a good laugh.
It was my building. I don't think I got it, but you know what? It was fun anyways. Okay, yep. Capturing airports. Getting the recons out. Oh yeah, this recon. Oh yeah, I remember this recon.
So usually, I like to save money for a tank instead. But here I decided I would play another way because I know you're better than me. So I'm like, I will have some changes and see if the changes will work. And this is one of the change. Usually recons are mid to late game unit in my own opinion. And I'd rather have them later. And I don't like really early recons. I don't like playing against early recons, and I don't like using early recons. Like, I think early recons are one of the most annoying thing ever. And I realize in like the 800, 900 realm, early recons are most likely used to interrupt cap, even if it's really risky and dumb. And recons should be used for vision, but sometimes it does work because you don't always have a tank somewhere.
Yeah, most of the time I find that's what people end up doing with the recons is they try to use it to interrupt caps.
It's
for intel. I mean, most of the time. Yeah, well, you're supposed to use it for intel, right? You can use it for interrupting caps if you feel like it's gonna work, right? I mean, I'm not gonna say don't do it for sure. But the thing is, like, most of the time when I'm playing a game, like if I didn't build this APC, I would have built a tank right away.
Me too.
And then I would have sent my tank up with one of these infantry going up, right? Yeah, because most of the time I find people, whenever they build those recons, they send them up, and then you just cancel it out with the tank right away, and then your opponent's 4K down, and you have at least one more tank than they do.
Yeah,
which is always a good time.
And that's funny because I defeated a player I consider better than me, only because he went too aggressive with a early recon, and I just destroyed that early recon with a tank. So I had a really good laugh. And I say I consider him better than me because he had better victory defeat ratio. And before I defeated him, he had like 950. And right now my MMR is kind of trash because of the last two rotation that really hurt me, and I really lowered my game count. I used to have like 80 plus games, so I had much more chance on winning a bunch. But now I'm like, instead of 80, I have like 40-ish. So I just caught by half all the games I was playing. And that makes me sad, but I'd rather do that than having that trash rotation we got right now.
See, that's always a risk whenever I do that, because I usually play like a low amount of games, right? But then sometimes I'll just queue up a whole bunch, and then I'll lose like a whole bunch of them right away, and I'll just be like, well, that was a bad idea. But, then I win a couple and balance out a little bit.
I
I
used to win a
almost.
lot, but I just have allergy with most of the maps in this rotation. Like outside of the three I told you, Redemption World, Statics, and Stalingrad. A lot of the other maps are disgusting, man. Three freaking light-based map. Normandy, I cannot stand Normandy. What else? Fletcher Walker, I don't know what the F they are thinking keeping that thing around.
Well, you know, you can always send a heavily worded email full of run-on sentences and spelling errors to the map committee,
Oh,
and then they'll
that
get
could
their
be a good
attention.
idea. That's what I will be doing.
Sounds perfect. All right. What else? What's happened? Blah, blah, blah. So I built the recon and a tank last turn, and that's pretty much it. So recon's just gonna go up here and scout these cities to see what's going on. And tank's just gonna go up here to hopefully help out these guys over here. And that is that's it. That's all that's going on over there. But yeah, personally, I never really do good in base light. You know, 3 bases usually, you know, I can do fairly good. But yeah, no, that's about it. Yeah, so you scouted this guy. So he's up there all by himself. He's just like, yep, don't see nothing. Everything is good. Everything's safe. Gonna have a good time.
I had a good laugh here.
Yes. Well, you know, sometimes you gotta do it, right? Now, most of the time I would play safe and just go for these ones, but I was like, whatever. You know, just see what happens. Just send it, see what happens. I've been doing a lot better at playing safe in the league lately, you know?
Yeah.
And it's gone okay. Unless I'm up against a grit, because then I just go hyper aggressive whenever I'm fighting grit. I'm just like, yep.
I'm on board with you. I do the same against grit. I just spam recall. Recall and takes. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I just went up against somebody that was like up in the 1100s against, and well, they picked grit and high funds, and I was like, oh, that's a bad idea. So, you know, just full send, building 2 bombers a day, just sending them up there. It's like, all right, see ya. He was a good player though. He had some good positions. So it's just like, you know, grit doesn't work in high funds at all.
So here I bought the trash unit that works 3k and that I basically trash all the time. And here's the why. I got 2 transport, right? And I'm Sammy. So I'm like, what can Sammy do with 2 transport? You will see. I think you remember, but I won't spoil it yet. But some people may guess it already.
Yeah, well, Mex is Sammy. I mean, that's perfectly fine because they're incredibly powerful, right? And with the transport unit, you're going to be able to get that mech right here next turn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, I would say. If you're anybody else, like, yeah, Mex can be, like, a little iffy here and there, but 100% map dependent for sure. But, I mean, this guy's going to get up here, right? So he's going to be, like, right in the frame. It's going to be a really good counter to this tank once it comes up here, too, right? So, nothing wrong with that. Get out of here, errors.
Like, usually I really trash makes. I'm anti-makes. And it's so easy to shut down make spam. Except if you don't expect it, then oh my. But, make spam is kind of trash, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why Sensei doesn't really work in high funds either, right?
Yeah, that's funny. Well, it depends on the map. If the map is small, Sensei becomes really broken in high funds. Because all the building are like covered and you unit cap fast.
Yeah, but if it's even like slightly big, like if it's this big,
yeah,
right?
Sensei
gets shut down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually in high funds, I'll try to. Well, most of the time, I'll usually pick like Hawk or something, just because you know, Black Wave and Black Storm you get them like all the time in high funds, right? And it works really good.
Yeah.
But whenever I see that I picked Hawk and my opponent picks Sensei, I'm just like, yeah, this is gonna be a good day.
Cartel comment. I heard the artificial intelligence spams mech all the time. It must be good.
The AI is definitely like at least a 1400 elo player. 100%. You gotta get rid of these APCs, man. It's like, just think about it. If the unit has ammo, it's gonna attack you. If it doesn't have ammo, how is it gonna attack? It's just gonna sit there doing nothing. Perfect strategy. Perfect strategy.
And I am wondering, that infantry really wanted another of my building, right?
Yeah, he's thinking about it.
Now, I said Recon should not interrupt cap, but here's the thing. I'm Sami and I don't want to damage my infantry. That's why I used that Recon. And I also knew I had a mech in range of that Recon, so that Recon got covered.
Perfect. See, this is a good interrupt with this guy, though, too, because you know that these guys are here.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be able to see it, for one. And, I mean, two, you have it backed up by this guy right here. So, I mean, like, yeah, no, that's good. Good move. Perfect. So day 8. Let's see what I do here.
Now
So
you
I'm just
realize you gave away an infantry for extra income for a turn.
oh, yeah, but, you know, I'm player 2, so I'm allowed to lose 1 infantry, so it's okay.
Oh my, it's like Advanced Warrior telling me I beat him in unit count, so I should base skip. It's the same level of comment.
Oh, you should never. I don't know. You should never really base skip if you can prevent it. The only reason you should base skip is if you're like desperate and you need something to counter something specific.
Tell that to Advanced Warrior. He
well,
defends himself by saying you need to know what you do when you do it, but even that argument, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a silly move in general, but whatever. To each their own, right? Everybody wants to play their own way.
Okay, so we got a question from Kartal. How slow do you want to move on open maps like this? And Wolf Pride. So do you have a response to that, Mr. Cannon?
How slow do you want to move?
Yeah.
Well, you want to move slow until you pretty much have sights on your enemy, I suppose. That would be the best thing. So, like here, I'm moving up here just to try to get sights here. But the rest of my guys are down here, obviously, because I can't really move too far. But, like, in general, you don't really want to rush pretty much at all, unless your units are, like, overlapping. So right now, like, most of my guys, they're not necessarily really overlapping each other really well. And what I mean by overlapping is just you have an infantry here. You want to have another infantry that would be able to cover this infantry when it goes up to like cap this base or something.
Yeah.
So, like in general, like normally combat doesn't really start until like day, 10, 11 or something on these maps.
It only started because you went too fast toward my buildings, and I will add more to what you said. I agree with all you said, and the other thing I think is here, don't troll your units because they will just die. I say that because, as I said, I defeated someone better than me in this map because he just threw Recons there and I was like, ha ha ha, Recon dies to tank. So I think you really need like to have a dead ball going before like thinking about attacking, because if you just throw unit in the center, they will die. If you just throw, even if you throw like unit on the sides, you don't know where your enemy army is. So if you just throw your stuff, they may die. So play safe, but that's like a rule of thumb like for most maps. Just don't throw your stuff. But I think that one is a trap in some ways because people think it's like easy, or I should say people think it's harder to meet two sides with this map, but it's really easy to front shift in this map. It's just really easy to just front shift. So I think because it's easier to front shift, you need to be more cautious about what you're doing. Because when it's hard to like front shift and go from one side to the other, when it's harder to do that, you can do the mistake. Because if you do the mistake, but you're winning on one side, you basically win the game. But here, like, winning on one side means nothing because you can just switch side without any much trouble. The only way you cannot really front shift is if your opponent controls the center, then you lost. Because it will be really hard for you to meet your army if your opponent controls the center. But if you control the center, that means you did something wrong.
Yeah, no, pretty much 100% on that one. So, like, yeah, further with that, so I knew that he took out my infantry right here. So I knew for sure, right, that he had, like, a bunch of stuff right here. So instead of sending these, like, 2 tanks out to go try to fight whatever he had there, I kept them in these forests so that he couldn't see them. So I'm actually... And I also built this medium tank, too, because I figured that, you know, it's Stanny, so he's probably got small units and mechs, so really good counter to mechs in general, or heavy units like the medium tank, right? Yeah. So I built that to make sure that I countered whatever he had there. So once again, don't know what he had, so I didn't push up any further than this. So playing it slow and steady at this point too. But yeah, that's about it. Just go slow, for sure.
But that medium tank is kind of good because if you take off fast against Sami, Sami will need all of her air forces to just cripple your medium tank because she won't be able to do medium tank on medium tank war because she got the weakest medium tanks.
Yep, no, that's for sure. Sami's medium tanks are pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Well, that's okay. Alright, so does this guy survive? Yeah, he does. Cool. So I did take this shot here, knowing that most likely you were going to hit it, right? And I took it because I was hoping that you were going to actually send this tank out here.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a tank, but I figured you would have had something here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that so that this tank would be able to hopefully come up and hit it.
That's kind of cool. Now, Kartal is asking, are rockets good in this map?
Not early.
Not really?
I don't think...
Why?
Not really early. Just because they take a little while to actually get up here. And this map is more, in my opinion at least, right? So this map is more dependent on direct combat initially because you need to be able to move your units around very quickly with the front shifting in order to actually do damage. So direct combat works way, way better with that.
Yeah.
You know, your tanks, if they're over here, they would be able to get over here very quickly and attack like a force that's attacking down here. But if you have a rocket, the rocket is stationary and is only able to hit one zone. So if your opponent even spots the rocket, then they can just pretty much front switch away and just completely focus on the other side. And your rocket is pretty much useless. Artillery are okay, because, like, you know, they're cheaper, right? And you can build more of them.
Yeah.
But I think in general, you kind of want to focus more on the direct combat and, like, the air units for this one.
So my answer will be, like, just like any other maps, it depends on the CO you use. I would say, like, the more I think about it, the more I think Adder has kind of good rockets because his power is really cheap and this gives him an extra space. So because of that, I think Adder has good rockets. Jess has good rockets. Jake, it really depends on the situation. If you're able to shield them properly. Sturm is clearly broken with rockets in any maps because he doesn't care about terrain. Lash is kind of cool with rockets because you will like to sit like your rocket in a forest, so this means your rocket will hit harder, or you will just sit your rocket on buildings. And about terrains, well, she has terrain tactics, even if it's kind of weak. If you play with rockets, you could rely much more with the power to just maneuver around and roll around rockets. But outside of the few I mentioned, don't use rocket. Like, most of the time in player versus player, rocket are not really good. They really depends on your CO you are using. Like, as Sami, don't use Rocket. If I see Rocket as Sami, I'm like, what are you doing? If you use a Rocket as Grit, I'm like, I hope you're opening as medium tanks. But yeah, Grid should always rely on artillery. And he should go on rockets only if the opponent has take up. And if the opponent has take up, this means the opponent did something wrong. Because against Grid, you just like to spam tank and recon. So yeah, it's really depends on the CO, because even if there's a lot of road, rocket are still very slow. If you use the roads, for example, you make your rocket on the right side. Let me control, yeah. Example, you use your rocket there. If you use the road, it will take you longer to have it in position because there are still planes. And if you just keep it on the road, it's an easy target for recon and other stuff. So I think rocket are really hard to use in player versus player. That's because it's not really worth it. You'd rather have like double tank infantry or other combination of units. Rocket are not really good in player versus player. It's more of a defensive unit actually. If you are down in medium tank count and you don't have the money for a bomber, then you can consider rocket. But even there, if you consider rocket to like counter a medium tank, it's a bit too late. And it's funny because I lost a few games here and there because of one really good rocket. Oh, okay, I got another question here. How to counter medium tank as Sami? I like this question a lot. Don't do medium tank on medium tank as Sami. The best way to counter a medium tank is with battlecopter or artillery. This is why Sami is really strong with unit count. You just spam air unit and ground unit. This is basically the best way to do it. Even if Sami has weaker copters, or copters can still damage medium tanks. So I think it's the best way to deal with medium tank as Sami. What's your answer to that question?
Pretty much the exact same thing. Copters, indirect units for sure. Baiting your opponent into actually doing damage to, or baiting your opponent into actually bringing that medium tank into position to get hit by your guys too. But in general too, even the standard little mech could actually be a little bit of a counter to a medium tank too. So I just brought up on the damage calculator here. So, I mean, even if you're using your power, the mech is going to do 2 to 3 damage to a medium tank. Obviously, you don't want to hit it first, right? But I think, like, okay, so where's the battlecopter? So battlecopters are going to do 2 to 3 damage too, right? So let's be generous and say that you actually bring this down to 7. There we go. Okay, so then if you go and pop it with this guy afterwards, it's going to bring it down to 5. So between like 2 attacks, just between a battlecopter and a mech, you take this guy down to like 5, maybe even 4 HP. So just those 2 units in general are pretty good for that. But if you don't have any medium tanks, right?
Yeah.
And your opponent is sending a couple of them in there, pulling back, building some indirects, and then pushing back into their lines is usually the best thing to do. You don't really want to go fighting directly in there. You want to pull back until you can get some artillery units or until he sends the medium tank in to attack you.
I think as Sami, it's kind of bad to go medium tank. The few cases where I go medium tank is when I see too many tanks, or if I see near tank, then I will consider medium tank as Sami. Because there's the thing, if your opponent out tank you as Sami, don't try to make more tanks, just go medium tank. But even there, if he out tanks you, it's kind of bad for you for many reasons. Maybe you don't have the mech power, maybe you are already losing the game, so it's kind of bad. Sami is a really hard CO to play That's why I want to main her, because she's very fun and really hard to play. And also Lash, but obviously this time around Mr. Cannon as Lash. So yeah, Sami relies much more in air units than most COs, because she want a good unit count.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to actually go head to head with a medium tank or a neo tank that your opponent has as Sami, definitely do what we said before. But if you really need something big, I would prefer to buy a bomber over the ground units, right? Because the bomber is not going to be taking any
bases. I actually agree. That sounds genius. And sometimes as Sami, I do that when I have 25k, because I can pump 3 infantry with it. But it's rare, because usually you don't have that kind of money. If you got that kind of money in most global link map, that means you got like supremacy over the economy, and it's already looking really bad for your opponent. But yeah.
The thing that's good about that with Sami too is her infantry are stronger than the average infantry, right? Most people use infantry to wall off their important units. So let's say like this anti-air. Yeah. So if you got a bomber to come up in here, and if I only have like one anti-air, he only has to focus his mechs and his other ground units to kill that one unit, and then the bomber can just have free range over everything else.
Yeah,
and that's
also why here I did the mech spam, because I knew I controlled that part of the map. And with my infantry wall, I knew you would be scared to like scratch them, because you expect mechs. So I was like more of a defensive state at that point, because I felt like I was behind you in terms of economy, because I didn't add that building yet. So I suspected you had yours, and I was right. And I see you having this one, and I'm like, I know I don't have this one. So I knew I was behind you, so I needed to be more defensive at that point in the game.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the other reasons why I sent the recon up here too, was to make sure that you weren't going to get that building right away.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, it's Sami, she's obviously going to get those buildings at some point, but if you can at least get a little bit of an advantage on funds early, then that's good. Don't do what I did over here though. That's a bad move. That was just like, you know, I just do those things sometimes because it's fun.
Testing the waters for new strats.
Exactly, just testing the waters. Okay, and I did actually go up and hit this tank last turn too, which was pretty fun, right? So essentially,
we got another comment from Kartal. How strong would Sami be with her Advance Wars 1 stats? 120 firepower, 110 defense on foot soldier. What is your take on that?
Does she still get access to Victory March though?
If
she still got access,
I guess.
I would probably put her like definitely better than what she is now. I mean, I don't think she would be in like the broken tier or anything, obviously, but she would be a lot better. Just because like the defense on the infantry would put her ahead of anybody else for the infantry game.
You're actually right.
And if you put her, because like, okay, so as soon as combat starts too, double time would be popped immediately, 100%. Because just her being able to go
actually really strong with these stats when I think about that.
Yeah, because the double time obviously would make her infantry go up even more in firepower, and then with the added 10% defense to the already 10%, that would put her at like 120% defense over her, you know, normal whatever firepower. So yeah, her infantry would just decimate the field at that point.
I think if she had these stats, I think she would be like in the higher part of tier 3 in most fog, and in the higher part of tier 2 in standard.
Yeah, she could be put in tier 2 in standard, possibly.
In standard, she is 2. In standard, she is 2.
Yeah, I guess she is tier 2 in standard, eh?
So with these stats, I think she would be in the higher part.
I'm not sure if that would put her into like tier 1 position.
No,
but probably not. No,
not
definitely,
one.
yeah.
She's not
no,
one.
Definitely higher tier 2. But with the added defense,
she would be like in the higher part of like any tier she would be in. And I with that kind of stat, I don't see her ever being considered 4. It's kind of dumb. Right now, some maps they consider her 4. And I understand in light base, Sami is kind of trash in light base. But even there, I still consider her like tier 3.
I mean, Sami would always be considered tier 3 in my heart, that's for sure.
Me
At
too.
least.
Even if she's weaker in light base, she stumps pretty much anybody else in tier 4.
Yeah. Well, if she had the Advanced Wars 1 stats with that added defense, yeah, Karuto, I feel like Sami would be
much better. Yeah.
Way stronger than what she is now. Because just, I mean, defense in general in this game is just broken as all hell. So
right now,
yeah.
she is not bad at all. She's like really good, but here's the thing: there are better COs. But with Advanced Wars stats, she would clearly go higher in the ranks. Now I do something weird as Sami. 3 tanks because one of my tank has been damaged, and the other reason I got 2 transport, and I don't expect you to have 2 transport. And the other reason I don't expect you to have a medium tank. so let's have tanks.
No, nobody ever expects the 2 medium tanks. So normally I wouldn't build 2 medium tanks either, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, because I'm against Sami, I know there's going to be infantry everywhere, and I know you're probably going to be building like battlecopters and anti-air units too, right? So I figured like you might as well just tech up early and then just, you know, cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
As Sami, taking up is not really great, but here again, that's just me. Maybe I play her wrong, I don't know. That's funny because I had a game with Madlitz recently, and we played Normandy. I truly ate Normandy, but it was like, even good players can learn from Normandy. So I was like, okay, I will do an exception and play a map I don't like just for the sake of content. And the first time around, we had a mirror, so he was like, I know you don't like mirror, so he changed around, and he picked Drake. And then in the replay, he told me I played Drake the same way I would play Sami. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So basically, you spam air units with Sami, and he's like, yes. And I'm like, I understand why, unit count.
Well, I mean, a lot of the time, if you have the unit count, that just it can just do wonders for you.
Yeah.
If you have more units.
As another question, are Nia tanks good against Sami? What's your take?
Against Sami? Oh, 100%. Neo tanks are good against anybody, really.
Yeah.
Just in general, if you can get a couple Neo tanks on the field, like they're super good. Neo tanks, they beat out battlecopters in firepower too, so it's
equal. They are equal. Battlecopter are superior than medium tank, but Neo tank and battlecopter are equal. Now, because of Sami lower firepower, if she low roll, she is actually a bit weak here. Well, that's only if she low roll.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yeah, in general, yeah, if you can get some Neo tanks on the field, I would say definitely do it.
Yeah,
but don't neglect like your other units just to buy the Neo tanks. Like if you can afford it, then like yeah, sure, go for it. But
so yeah, I agree with that.
Get some
Neo tanks are really good in general. Against Sami specifically, you see she did better right now against that medium tank. But against Sami specifically, that's kind of good Neo tank. They are actually a bit better than medium tank because they are much harder to kill. So I do think they are good against Sami.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so this is the turn that you pushed in, which was cool. Now, considering like where I was on the map, and then after seeing all this, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. It's got a whole bunch of stuff here. So yeah, I logged on to looking at this, and I was like, that's a lot of infantry right there. What am I gonna do against this? I did see this guy though, right? So I was like,
I was
well,
kinda
at least I
sad.
can kill. At least I can kill one unit. But I did that, and then I ended up seeing this mech. So I was like, well, even though I'm gonna take more damage, I got to do that because I got to
At
protect
least
my
that
anti-air
anti-air will
unit.
survive a bit longer.
Yeah, I take the engagement against this guy because I have more firepower, and I mean, if I continued the cap, I would have just lost it anyways. So do that and go up, hide my infantry. I try to do this and I fail, and then I get sad.
Oh my, that was violent. Poor guy.
Oh,
He's the
it
one
was
that
violent.
engaged and he died.
Yeah, he's just like, "Don't worry, man, we got this," and then no, we don't got this, and it was sad.
So,
Everybody
Cartel
went home
asks
crying.
another question. How many anti-air you want?
I mean, some people say that you should build like one anti-air for every 2 battlecopters you see, something like that. I don't know. Me, like, I build like a lot of anti-air though, which is kind of, I'm not sure if it's necessarily good or not, but it seems to do okay for me. Because like I use anti-air to clear out like infantry walls a lot and like go in with the other units, and then sometimes like follow up a tank hit with an anti-air.
Yeah.
But in general, like, you should only really build one anti-air if you see a battlecopter, or if you know that your opponent has more, like maybe 2. I usually try to like spread them out, so I'll have like one on this side and one on this side.
Yeah.
So I can defend against them. But I don't know. That's me at least.
So anti-air for me, it's an early unit you should always have because you don't want battlecopter surprise. And I will say like probably one anti-air per front. Now, if it's a map with 2 airport, it's a bit different because the battlecopters will obviously be much more used and much more useful. So in these maps, maybe 1 anti-air per front and a half. So like you could have like, if you have 2 front, you can have 3 anti-air to make sure you got enough. If you got like 3 front, then maybe overkill the anti-air and have like 4 to make sure you don't get off guard. Yeah, that's my rule of thumb. And in this map, I think 1 anti-air and a half is kind of good. So if you got one that is really able to front shift fast, it's kind of good. But here's the thing. If you only got one, make sure it's well protected, because if your opponent shot it down, you have no more answer against air units. So usually I tell people like 1 or 2 anti-air is kind of the rule. Now if Vandalis map is a perfect example where I would consider like bare minimum 3 anti-air if you can afford it. But don't forget to have tanks and battlecopter on your as well. So like the 3 anti-air in Vandalis comes much later. But early in the game, like make sure you got anti-air and battlecopters in Vandalis. So
Yeah, no, that's good points for sure.
Cartel
the only other
is
thing,
laughing at Advance Wars 1's term, saying not as much as him. And I agree.
I mean, if you start out with 4 pre-deployed like anti-air, then yeah, let's go. Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like in general, like as long as your anti-air like cover the map, I mean, you should be fine. You can either get 2 and like maybe put one like here and here to kind of cover both sides, or if you want to be safe, you can get 3 and kind of cover all sides. But it just really depends on what your opponent is throwing.
Now I think about what's going on right now in the game, and I think you did a kind of huge mistake. Even if you damaged my mech, your anti-air is still very exposed. And yes, you got tanks incoming. Yes, you may smash through my stuff, but your anti-air is still very exposed. So.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. But I knew that I had to take care of this guy, right?
Yeah.
So It was, I guess it was more of a calculated risk than anything. And in
Yeah.
order for you to actually attack this guy, that means you would have to take some of this death ball and push it over here,
Yeah,
which means
because-
you couldn't push all of it down here.
Because here's
Which
the
was-
thing, right now you don't have any anti-air, so you're forced into making a new one, because you may lose the one you got right now. And if you don't make a new one, then oh my battlecopters will be at paradise of the battlecopters.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. No, I'm pretty sure I have every intention of building more anti-air, especially when you're fighting Sami, right? You know that she's going to have primarily infantry, and one of the best counters to infantry is anti-air units.
Yeah.
So they can just pretty much one-shot them. But yeah, no, like, in general, everything that I had here right away definitely was not enough to deal with what was here, right? And I didn't know that you had this guy early when I went to go attack here, but I mean, if I didn't take out that battlecopter, it would have been much worse for me.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. So this guy could potentially attack him with the double time too. This guy could definitely attack him with the double time.
Yeah.
So this guy is gonna die. Like, I know that for sure. But but I know I have these two medium tanks here, so if you do go and attack this stuff, these guys are going to come in and pretty much wipe the floor with everything else that's here.
And that's funny, because at that point I have only seen one medium tank so far, and I'm like, oh my, that medium tank is so annoying.
Yep. So, because I know that I'm going to lose this, I do build the second one.
Yeah.
So,
this is the right
it is
thing
there.
to do. If you don't, you basically lose the game, almost, because, like, battlecopters having free hunting season without any consequences kind of OP.
Oh, no, 100%. So, yeah, after that push, you do push ahead in the unit count.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more ahead on the value still, but that's, I mean, this... Neither here nor there.
Sami should not have that much value, but she should be ahead in terms of unit count.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
that's
cool
funny
thing is, like,
I defeated the guy that I told you was better than me, and the unit count was so atrocious, but we had similar unit value. So basically, it was like 31 against 15, and his unit value was almost the same as mine. But yeah, no infantry anywhere, so he was not able to keep up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can have, like, 30, 40 units, right? But they're all injured and half dead.
Yeah.
And, 1 foot in the grave, and, like, your opponent could have, like, 3 medium tanks, and they're just like, what you gonna do? And then, it's just... That's all that can happen. So you have, like, really good vision on most of my guys too, right?
Except
and you just
that
use
second
double
medium tank. Oh my!
Oh yeah, this guy's being sneaky, right? So that's pretty cool. So let's see.
I think this one really helped you a lot. He almost gave you the game.
Oh yeah, that medium tank is beautiful. He did me a solid, that's for sure.
So here I will have a good showcase of double time, the power nobody used because everyone wants to rely on the broken super because they think if they win with it, this means they are good. No, guys are just relying on something broken to win. Regardless,
Yeah,
look at
Victory
that
March goes Burr, right?
juicy. Oh.
Yeah, like look at that damage. Like a 6 HP mech does 70 to that guy.
This is violence.
Now, I probably would have actually attacked with this one. Probably, because that would have been the guaranteed hit, and then this guy could have probably like 2-hit this guy, and then could have made sure this guy was dead. And
That's
the rest
actually
of
a
these guys
good
pushed over
point,
there.
but here's the why I didn't do it. Look at your tank. I hope
Which
I
tank?
did attack that tank. If
This guy?
yeah, I think. I
Oh
did.
yeah, well it's possible. I probably would have just pushed them over here because you don't really know what I have like in here, and I do have these 2 bases here, so
Yeah,
I
but
could possibly have like a
if I
bunch
can
there.
evilly damage one of your tank with my mech, it's a victory in itself. The mech already paid itself back.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
And the mech are kind of shit anyway, so I'm like, there are fathers that can take out tank.
And that battlecopter going in and doing some damage against the medium tank once again. Well, that's pretty good. Alright, cool. And you built a medium tank of your own, too. So that's cool.
Yeah, I realized at that point I need my own because I feel like you got another one, even if I don't see it, because I already see one of the two. I'm like, I should expect a second one, and that's why I bought my own. Ooh, juicy Prime Tactics. Let's see how it goes.
We are gonna see, that's for sure. All right, so I know that you know, I look at my unit count right now, and I'm like, yeah, I got hit pretty hard.
It's not looking good. At that point, I thought I won. I was like, I need to keep up. I need to keep up. Like, yo.
Well, sometimes Mr. Cannon just keeps on trucking, right? So, even though I'm behind, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, see what happens.
This turn was really good for you, I think. That was a good counterattack. But here's the thing. Do you really think it was justified to Prime Tactics this?
Yes, 100%, and I'll tell you why. It's because I needed to get this guy on this city to take out the units here. These two tanks weren't going to be able to take up this tank because I have 80% defense.
Okay.
And they can't do anything against the medium tank, and this helicopter over here, he's not going to take any damage from these guys either. So it was mostly to keep these guys safe, because if I lost this front and I'm losing this front, well, it would have been completely lost at that point. Oh. So I did see that you had most of your units over here and only a couple over here. So if I managed to secure this side, I would be able to focus a lot more stuff over here. So the Prime Tactics was primarily to keep this guy alive and to give this recon a lot of movement. Because this recon has full movement now, too.
Yeah, it's kind of broken now.
And aside from that, it was also to get these guys into the fray really, really quick. Aside from that, that's pretty much about it. I know that this city is lost. I'm not really going to be able to stop that.
Yeah.
I still don't have anything really to do about this guy here, but that is okay. So, let's see what else I managed to do this turn. So, we'll plop those guys in there. Battlecopter tank, 2 more infantry. This guy's hiding in the forest, which is cool. I do take a shot here. I know you're still going to capture it, but I have to do some damage to these guys. Otherwise, they're just going to roam free and do bad stuff, right?
Yeah, so that's... I'll ask here, and in my defense, I completely forgot you had Prime Tactics. And I realized after the counterattack, I was like, oh crap, he has Prime Tactics. Regardless, Cartel question is, why not go for the HQ? Well, that infantry there, with 3 HP, I don't see it able to finish any cap there. It'll just die. And as of me, well, you see the situation. There's like a big, juicy medium tank there stopping me from trying. So yeah, it's kind of hard to just go for the HQ right now. I don't see any of us able to go for the HQ right now.
Yeah, HQ caps on this map are kind of hard too, because you have the airport right here in this base. So a lot of the time, especially when the game gets a little bit later, people will actually take one of their air units and plop them here and then send them in to constantly cover. That's one of the things that I do sometimes. But because you have these two bases really close to the HQ, it's really difficult to actually get that HQ cap. Now, if Sami actually got an infantry down here and all I had was this, she would get the cap because I wouldn't be able to do enough damage to her.
Yeah.
But in general, it just usually doesn't work too well.
It's very risky to attempt that. Even as Sami, you don't know. It's fog of war. You don't know where your enemy are, and it's really, really risky. So if you go there and suddenly you find 3 units, you're like, okay, I just lost an infantry for nothing. So I think it's really risky. And I don't remember losing this mission for HQ cap, or this map I should say. I don't remember it happening. Most of the time people resign because they are losing. But yeah. HQ cap in this map, it's kind of hard. It's really risky, and if you lose by HQ cap, this means you didn't do something properly. Now, there's one case where it's easier if you are Olaf because of Blizzard, if you can shield your stuff. But here again, Blizzard, Winter Free, that kind of stuff is good anyway, so it's the only case where you could really consider an HQ cap is if there's snow. Now, even if you're opening as like troops in the area, they will be hindered by the snow. So that's, I think, the only case where you can safely try to HQ cap.
Yeah, so that's for sure. So yeah, the airport can interrupt it, and if you actually built a recon off of this one too, the recon would be able to make it there in time to interrupt the cap too.
Yeah.
So those are two things. But yeah, actually, I played Math Blitz on this map one time on his climb up to top 10 or top 20 wherever he is now, and I actually managed to beat him with an HQ cap on this map because he had me completely. Yeah, he had me completely beat everywhere, but I had just one infantry sitting here, and I was just like, bloop bloop.
Wow.
And like, yeah.
Which seal
it was
were
pretty
you,
good.
Sammy?
No, I can't remember. I think I was like, I don't know. I was somebody that wasn't Sammy.
The other
but I did
seal I see able to attempt that kind of sneaky stuff would be like Javier Von Bolt or Sturm, because their increased defense is ridiculous. But yeah. I think Andy has more chance because of his power and super. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it just worked that one time because he built like a fighter out of here that turn. Like he had a battlecopter coming every single day, but the one turn he built a fighter is the turn that I went for the HQ cap, and like I didn't even know either, right? And I was just like, well, all right, cool, that worked. But yeah, no, Mathblitz is like an insanely good player. Insanely.
I know. I had him in the
had me beat on every.
Oh
yeah, he had me beat on
right
every level. Oh, sweet. Hey, Math.
Says Jake versus Jake this time.
Oh, it was Jake. Nice. Yeah, no.
He says it was his worst performance he played.
Well, if I can beat you at your worst, then that's good enough for me. That's awesome. No, yeah, Math, incredibly good player, like 100%. I'm sure he never made that mistake ever again. So it's probably good. All right, so let's carry on.
So at that point, I forgot you had Prime Tactics, as I said. I'm like, oh, Juicy Tank, let's attack Juicy Tank. And then I realize I lose 9 HP, so I'm like, oh crap, it's Prime Tactics.
Yeah, and that's the power of Prime Tactics right there. That's something else. And that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I popped it, because I knew I could defend that property right there, so. Perfect stuff. Your battlecopter is still trying to take out this medium tank, which is holding on. It's being a good distraction to the battlecopter too, which is nice.
Cards all told me why did I forgot. Well, actually, we were not playing live, so we took like, well, at some point in the game we did play live. I don't know when, but I don't think we were live as you used that super.
No, there was like maybe a 5 or 6 like turn span when we were both online.
Yeah,
and that was about it.
I think it was after this or before that. I just didn't know. I just forgot.
Yeah, well, it happens sometimes, right? So all good. Well, good for me. I mean, not good for you, but it was good for me, so I was pretty happy about it.
I hope
I was
so.
like, yeah, okay. Okay, so you bring a couple of your units back out of the fight to get a little bit of healing, so that's good. These guys are still pushing up pretty close to there, which is pretty alright, I guess. Let's see what else happens here. I probably would have actually attacked this medium tank with that mech. Because it's at 9 HP, right? So
by the way, you're under Prime Tactics, and I only do the mistake once. Even if it's a plane,
Yeah,
you're
but let's
stronger.
see.
Your plane turns into like a
Oh,
city.
it turns into two. It turns into 2 stars. So it would have been like a forest, but you still would have done 20 to 27%, which could have possibly taken it down to 2 HP, which would have
Yeah.
I probably would have had to like retreat it at that point. Like it wouldn't have been useful anymore. So that probably could have been good, but I can understand like moving away, right, because of the prime tactics. But
I was scared.
yeah, that's about it. All right, so day 14. Yeah, I got 19 units to 31, so
At
that's
that point,
cool.
I thought I won for real, but then you came back in the race. Pretty fast, actually.
Oh, you can't keep a good cannon down, right?
Yeah.
He just keeps going, and he could have like 10 units left, and he'll just like never resign and just keep going.
I remember with our Sacha game, you lost for like 20 turns, but you still kept going.
Did it for the content, man. It's like,
Yeah.
it's over, but it's not over.
It's not over until I say so.
Exactly. And I'm even going up and taking a shot at this battlecopter with my infantry because I'm just like, you know what? You gotta get out of there, man. But I took it from there. One of the reasons why I did that is because I knew it was at 6 HP, right? So I needed it to be either equal or less than this medium tank too, because you kept on attacking me, and I was getting kind of annoyed with it. So yeah, I had to get rid of it. Alright, so I bring this tank over here to scout this location, see what was going on, making sure you weren't going to get up to that guy there. Let's see what else
That
did
APC,
I do.
man, is a true thug life forever, man.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's almost
scouting. What vision scouting the area?
Yeah, I needed to see what was in the forest, man. I was like, well, I got the APC still, so he's going to go up. I saw this mech, right? And I know this mech is going to take a shot at this guy, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
But, that's the way she goes sometimes. Unless you want to just attack the APC, it could that'd be good if you want to do that. But no, it never happens. So another double time too. Cool.
So
all right.
I wanted to showcase double time because the sami players that rely on freaking victory march, they piss me off so much, and this pissed me off as much as that medium tank surviving. It should have died.
Yeah, what a freaking champ, man. Like I said though, if you had attacked it with that mech the other turn, that medium tank would have been gone.
We got Cartel asking what happens if the APC runs out of fuel.
Probably the apocalypse, I'm guessing. I think if the APC runs out of fuel, I mean, that's just that's the end of the world, man.
That's a good guess, man. I like that guess.
Yeah, it's we'll all just slowly die, and we won't be able to get any food. Yeah, it's not a good time. Let's just not think about that. Cthulhu would wake up and just start looking at people causing madness. Start raining frogs or something.
Poor
You'd start stubbing your...
He was innocent and he died.
He wasn't innocent, he was doing things, and I had enough of it, okay? I had enough of these infantry doing things to all my units. But yeah, no, that's good. Also, if this APC ran out of fuel, you'd probably stub your toe every day on your bed frame until the day you die. And yeah, it wouldn't be good. So let's just hope that never happens. Alright, so scout that, bring my medium tank up, boom, take a shot. So this guy's pretty good too, because now he's sitting on a city doing 130% extra fire, or 30% extra firepower, so that's cool.
With the tower 140, you're stronger than Grim right now.
Yeah. Okay, so bringing my medium tank back to stay alive, take another shot at that copter, and just kind of thinking about, what I can do to survive. Moving my units around, doing this, doing that. Bringing my battlecopters over here.
What does it tell about the player?
What does it tell about the player? What you mean, like the APC?
Probably, I'm guessing.
Well, you know, if your APC is running out of fuel, that means that your opponent is not an artificial intelligence and that you're dealing with sentient life. And you should probably be afraid. Because as soon as something has sentience, then it's able to make bad decisions. And we all know what happens when you make bad decisions. Bad things happen. So, yeah, just don't let that happen. Okay. So, battlecopter, mech, another APC, another infantry. That's pretty much all I had money for this turn. So I was like, okay.
Doing the same thing as me, mech spam, man. Why? Whoa.
Well, this is my first mech, so it's not really a mech spam.
Hey,
but I didn't have.
First step.
I didn't have. Yeah. Well, I guess that's true. So I didn't really have enough funds to really build a tank or anything, right? Well, I mean, I guess I could have because I had 8,000 there, but I figured that getting an APC up here and getting the mech up there would be okay.
To save your other APC?
Yeah, well, I don't want it to run out of fuel, too, because I felt kind of bad, right? It's been doing a good job. He's been around since, like, day 4 or 5, right? So...
Cartel is asking if he can use the cruiser to refuel his copters.
I feel like you should be able to use landers to refuel copters. Why can't you why can't you refuel things with a lander? I mean, it costs so much money just to transport units. Why can't it, like, you know, why can't it refuel too? Like, that would be a great idea. I mean, screw black boats. No, I think that would be a good idea. Landers used as, like, you know, water APCs. It's perfect. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Moving back. So I actually managed to even the playing field, like unit value, or unit
count.
Numbers, at least. Unit count. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So, let's see what else happens. I'm actually surprised that I didn't build more anti-air, though, too, because I knew that you had a whole bunch of battlecopters, so I figured I would have, but yeah. I don't know, I guess I figured that, like, one on the field at a time was just good enough, right? So, what was my thought on day 16? So, I logged on, I looked at the field, I saw 3 units, and I was like, something's not right here. Something is not right. So I knew at that point you probably backed everything up, right? And are hiding in the shadows, you know, fighting in the shade like a Spartan. So I was just like, well, you know, when in Rome, right? So I saw this guy, and I was like, okay, all right. That's the guy that just took out my other tank. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to get some revenge on you pretty soon. And then I'm like, kablamo. Shoot him. Had enough of him. And I felt like it was probably safe to put this guy over here, too, because I figured you only had air units, and you were spamming out a bunch of, like, mechs, too. So I was like, yeah, he's probably okay, unless he had a mech in here, which I didn't know about, but, like, I don't know. You know, it's possible, it's not possible, I don't know. Could have happened, could have not. Okay, so get rid of that vision machine over there.
OP Rick on shot.
Exactly. Alright, so I go to capture a building. I'm hoping that I can get it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, there's like 10 tanks.
There is a lot of tanks. I think one of the reasons why I did this is because I wanted to see what you were going to send up to hit it with.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hopefully counter that hit with my medium tanks. In order for you to scout this, you would have to go either here or right here. So you wouldn't plant anybody right here.
Yeah.
As far as I would know. Or as far as I could tell. Right? So I was like, yeah, okay, that seems safe-ish, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm Lash, so you know what? Everything will be fine. All right, so because I sent that guy up too into unknown territory, I ended up building another one because I was like, well, I don't know if it's gonna die, so might as well build another one. Just hope for the best. Everything will be fine. Okay, so let's see what this big medium tank clump ends up doing here.
I just realized I had no face cam for the entire video, but hey, I don't really care. I used to do these replays without my face on, until people ask me to.
Oh, you had no face cam on, eh?
Yeah, for like many months.
I remember seeing your videos way back in the day there. Well, not way back in the day, but like, sometime before your face cam, right? And I was just hearing your voice, and I was like, I can't tell where his accent is from. I was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but it sounded familiar. And then I heard you were from, like,
Canada.
Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Quebec somewhere, right? And then I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just your neighbor over here in Ontario, right? So
yeah, I got a cousin that live by your place in Ottawa.
In Ottawa? Oh, that's like way on the other side of Ontario from me.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, I'm up in northwestern Ontario.
Oh,
so that's a bit farther, but that's okay.
Kind of far.
Yeah, we got stupid Lake Superior in the way. It's always causing trouble.
How do you feel about Trudeau the dictator?
I got lots of comments, but I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay, that's good. That's fair enough.
But let that be enough for you. All right, so pop this guy for 3 damage with 1 guy. And that's one of the reasons why I said I wanted to bring him up there, right? And plant this guy here as bait to hopefully lure whatever it was up there. So luckily it was a medium tank, so I was like, okay.
Poor guy, man. That medium tank deserved to live. What is that crazy?
And he even gets taken out by the tank that he went to go kill. So it was like, he went to go beat up a little guy. The little guy was like on the ground, and he was like, you know what? I brought friends. And then, like, 3 guys with bats just enter the room and start beating this guy down. And then at the very last moment, one of them hands the little guy that was beating up the bat, just finishes the job. And he's like, yeah, I did it. All by myself. Alright, so get that terrain bonus once again.
Oh, this is a grim medium tank now.
Mm-hmm. And I did see this medium tank up here too, right? So I didn't really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, this is why. Yeah, I saw that you were gonna be able to hit me if I went for this guy, right? So I just wanted to keep him to the side, do some damage over there, and then this guy, I mean, he can just do whatever he wants. He's probably gonna do some damage, but the worst of it's done. And then even if you have an anti-air in here, there's like so many battlecopters right here that like even if you take a 1, I'll be fine. I'm not expecting this one though. It's like I was not expecting that guy to be there, so that's like unfortunate, but is what it is, I guess.
He's chilling. That's party time for him.
He's just hanging out, having a good time. All right, and that medium tank that wasn't killed. He is slowly moving back up into combat, getting a heal every day as he does. And that APC is getting refueled, so it's not going to be the end of the world, everyone. Not the end of the world. Lash may be crazy, but she doesn't want the end of the world.
What was that, bro? What? That recall will be dead wish or something.
He does, and I did this with a purpose, though. Because I didn't see anything, and I needed to know what was going on. So I figured like 4,000 funds to go up, take a shot at an infantry, and see what was going on. So that let me scout like all this, right? So even though it's going to die, I was able to know that, you have a battlecopter there, you're still mech spamming, and I don't know what's here, but it's probably something terrible that's going to kill me. But I was like, yeah, you know what? Whatever. I take out an infantry. Everything is good.
Wow.
But yeah, mostly that was just for intel. So I didn't really care about it too much.
This is the way you treat your people, man.
Well, I'm Lash. I mean, I use my guys for experiments like every day.
That's right.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta play all your games in character. It's like, you know, you just mindlessly sacrifice all of Lash's units to experiments, you know.
We got a very interesting question. I actually like it a lot, and it's coming from Cartel. He is asking, is moving the recon could be the first move to... what I mean is, moving the recon first, is it a better move to do?
Moving the recon first, is it better? I think at the end of the day, it's really just situational. It depends on what you can already see. But if you have like a good chunk of units that are ready to do, you know, combat, right? And if you don't see anything, then moving the recon first to get that vision definitely would do. But if you're not battle ready, I probably wouldn't move the recon too far away from, you know, your units. But yeah, and I think it just depends on if you're battle ready or not. If you're battle ready, if you're ready to push, move the recon first so you can see all the targets that are available to you. Yeah, 100%.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, okay. So 2 of my copters got hit. But I also got prime tactics now, which is pretty cool.
And scary at the same time. Really scary.
Yeah, but the question is, can I get this tank to sit on this building? That's the real question. Can I make it? I don't know if I can make it.
Since
but we'll find
two
out.
copters, yes.
It's possible, but I might want to use these copters to take out some stuff here, though.
Now we got a Cartel memeing again. Can I use myself for vision?
Well, I mean, in all reality, yeah, you can, but it's so slow that it's probably not worth it. But, you know what? I would probably never do it, but if you actually got a missile to, like, sit, maybe, like, here, or, like, here. Actually,
this
not
is
here.
Ballsy, but it will get crazy volume, I'm telling you.
If you got the missile to sit right here in that forest, then it would probably get a lot of value, as long as it's got some backup. But,
you know what?
I mean...
If they don't ban Stern next time around, I get this on the stupid rotation. I pick Stern and I do that.
You're not just gonna pump out the missiles. A missile a day to keep the eagle away.
Himself back 4 times.
Oh, exactly. Be perfect.
That's why Stern should be freaking banned from Global League. Don't let him live.
Oh yeah, I just played a Stern mirror match on this map too, and I was just like, ugh.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean the worst part is I lost too, and I was just like, ugh, this is terrible.
We have the
player
chat laughing out loud. I do agree. Thank you, chat. You're alive today. I like it.
Okay, so I don't pop prime tactics on this turn though, even though I could have. But I didn't. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't because I felt like it probably wasn't a good idea. Just because I'm not really sure exactly how valuable it would be to attack these guys with the 2 battlecopters, because I knew that you probably would have taken them out.
And you know you're scary when you hold your prime tactics.
Yeah, like, I just felt like I wasn't going to get, like, a lot of value out of it, right? So, I just didn't do it. So and I fly and bead myself over here.
Can't I like to say with Lash Prime Tactics you need to win the game or don't use it? Because it's the kind of super that becomes worse and worse as the game keeps going. So I can't understand what he's talking about. Right now, it's much weaker if you use it right now than before, and it's normal because it's a different state in the game. So that's like kind of cool.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like it would get weaker and weaker as the game goes on too. So I don't know. You really got to pick and choose like when you're gonna get the most value out of it. Then, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't gonna get like a lot of value out of it. But I don't know. I just like flying V'd myself over here to capture this little property here too. So I'm hoping that works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, well, you know, whatever. So I lose an infantry, sadly. Battlecopter is moving in. We got a double time, so let's see what happens with the double time. Lots of damage happens with double time.
So I'm sitting that tank. Usually I like to send 7 HP tank on the battlefield, especially with sami or tank are weaker anyway. But right now I have no clue what was going on and why you held your prime tactics. And I'm sami, so I'm like, I will protect my HQ.
Oh yeah, it's like, does he have a mech right there? I just have a mech that like went all the way across the map.
Cartel asked, will I play Max in Reboot Camp? I don't think so. Will you, Cannon?
Me? Oh, man, I'm gonna play Max all day. All day. I'm dedicated to my mom too, because my mom S-ranked the entire Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Wardroom with Max after I left her the game.
That's what you told me.
Yeah. So, yeah, no. Tribute to my mom, Max all day. Even though Max is like super broken in Advanced Wars 1, and like, you know, it's kind of easy to get S ranks with him, but
he's also a very boring CO to play.
Oh yeah, just tanks all day. Just tank nonstop. Which is beautiful. So now I'm popping my prime tactics, because now I'm kind of like, okay. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I think that I can make this work now. So let's see what I do. So I pop one guy. Pop that guy. I was hoping that was going to kill him, but it didn't, which was, you know, kind of sad, but whatever. Taking out that APC because I had enough and my AI brain is taking over. Okay. So I don't know what was there originally, but it's gone now, which is great.
That's all we need to know.
We took care of the ghost, everybody. It's gone. It's not going to bother us anymore. We're safe for now. Until it comes back. And then, well, I mean, then we're in trouble. Okay. Does it work? Does it work? Rats! I was hoping. But, you know, I don't get any, like, firepower bonus from that one. That's just pure luck. I was hoping, but, you know, it didn't work. So, whatever.
You know, something went wrong when infantry tried to kill medium tanks.
Well, you know, whether it's going wrong or it's just going so right that you feel like you can just follow it up with an infantry and win. Either way. You know, I do those luck rolls all the time. That's why I keep losing in League. It's like I just throw all my units away. Like the other time when we were battling and I sent 3 or 4 units to go kill that one medium tank on the HQ, and I'm just like, it's gonna work. I swear to God. And then it doesn't. So, you know, whatever.
Cartel is saying Indy is more boring in the Advanced Wars 1. What's your take?
Advanced Wars 1 Andy is, like, mind-bogglingly terrible, and I hate it. Even though he's, like, one of my favorite characters to play, like in Advanced Wars 2. Yeah, Advanced Wars 1 is just like, no, just,
I'd rather play Andy than Max because Andy can use indirect.
But yeah, that's totally fair. I'd rather get bashed in the head with a rusty nail than play Andy in Advanced Wars 1.
I'd rather not play than play Max.
Yeah,
I have
perfectly
a lot of hatred for Max.
I think when I played Advanced Wars... No! No. It's gone.
What just died? I missed it. I was looking at the chat.
It was the APC.
APC chat died.
It's down.
He died for all of these people that he ferried and pushed forward.
Terrible.
He died
now
for
it's
them.
Gone.
Let's be honest. Advanced Wars 1 Sanja is so awful. Why does she exist?
She exists so that you can play Ken in the final battle. That's it.
And she exists so she can drug Max and play with Andy's tool.
Well, you know, I've heard rumors that apparently that happens, so I don't know. Gonna have
She
to
really
consult the
drug
lore
Max.
masters.
If you take the Sanja road, she drug Max.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, she did. Definitely did.
This is a child game, everyone. Sanja is drugging the kids.
But when you're out of control, guys. She's out here drugging kids. Actually, I don't know how old Andy is supposed to be in Advance Wars, but I'm pretty sure he's like a teenager of sorts, right? So
yeah.
I was okay. Good. I was hoping that guy was gonna die. I was like, I remember seeing that infantry there too, and he was like pushed up like super far. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing here? What's he planning? What are his goals? Who sent him here? Okay, so I could have attacked, but I figured you had like more battlecopters back there, so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring it back. Don't want to deal with it.
You were right. I had more.
Oh yeah, so I didn't want to push up until I had these anti-air like further ahead. So that didn't happen. And you're still denying me that property. So I've been behind by like 4,000 funds like for a long time in this match too, which is sad, very sad, very unfortunate. But I've just been holding on somehow. I probably threatened my units that I was going to perform ghastly experiments on them involving leeches unless they actually won the game for me. So they just tried extra hard.
I think by experience, Sami is doing a damage race in this map, and she needs to do a lot of damage really fast early in the game, otherwise she lose. And this is exactly what's going on right now. Even if you got like 4k down for like 50% of the game, you're still winning because you just have a better day-to-day than me, because now we are in a later stage of the game and captures are no more really a thing. So yeah.
Like that initial push that you did over here, like back on day like 10 or 11 or whatever, where you hit all my infantry, that was like a pretty good opener. And if I didn't have those 2 medium tanks, that would have won you the game.
Yeah.
But because I had those 2 medium tanks ready to go, because I was expecting something like that, and you know, it was okay. So I mean, we still don't know who's going to win the game because it's still going, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so I spot a mech, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. So I take out a mech. I spot another mech.
Why? My mechs, they are falling apart.
Alright. So, yeah, I did a little bit of damage there, and now, like, I managed to get this side back, so I wasn't too worried about having a lot of units here. I decided to push, like, the vast majority of my units over here now, because I want to just kind of, like, clear out this spot and hopefully get these properties back so I can get some funds. Which would be...
Cartel is asking, is Olaf in Advance Wars 1 good?
Is he good? I'm not going to say he's bad. I mean, there's a lot better COs, but, I mean, Blizzard is pretty... Blizzard can be viable, I guess. Is, I don't know. I'd say he's probably more towards the weaker side than any of the other COs, but, like, he's not bad. You know, Blizzard can still be used to, like, stop pushes and stuff like that, so... I don't think he's super bad, but I probably wouldn't pick him in any sort of competitive aspect in Advance Wars 1.
I think he is in the middle. Sanjay is clearly worst. Even in Fog, Sanjay is not that impressive. Andy against Olaf, I really don't know, because Blizzard can really F you over, and the only reason why the campaign is easy, it's because Olaf is dumb. But I think player versus player, Olaf versus Andy is really balanced. Now, we all know how it goes Max Advance Wars 1. We all know how it goes Count by Advance Wars 1. Now, Olaf versus Drake, because the best global damage Drake can do is 1. Well, it's really hard to say. I think Olaf still stands a chance because he can have air units, and Drake doesn't have air units. So I think Olaf is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, well, his power is good, right? It's just not like super good.
Not having a day-to-day clearly makes him weak here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's somewhere probably towards like the lower middle, if anything. But like, I don't know. I'd still play him because like Olaf is fun. Either way. But I think my favorite people to play in Advanced Wars 1 was Eagle and Sami. Like, I usually pick those two more than anything else.
These two, man. In Advanced Wars 1, they are really strong.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Especially Eagle. Eagle is so busted in Advanced Wars 1.
Well, it's like I was a kid when I was playing Advanced Wars 1 too, and I saw Eagle.
More skills than Max for sure. But, Eagle is so good.
Oh yeah, well, Eagle was just that cocky hero type, and when I was a kid, I was just like, oh my god, I want to be just like you. Right, so, I mean, I just played him all the time. And then Sami, well, she's just cool. So, you gotta play Sami.
And now you're mopping the floor with me, and I think you won. I forgot when I resigned. But I know it's soon.
Alright, so, yeah. Well... Yeah, I feel like it's pretty safe now for me to push some of my guys up. Now I think if I had...
Now you're ahead in terms of unit count as well. So the moment Sami falls behind in terms of unit count, she lost.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I did... If I had actually pushed up when I was over here, though, I feel like you would have countered me pretty heavily. So that's why I actually pulled back and held my prime tactics to hopefully like lure you in and then do some damage and then push up. Because I felt like whatever I lost when you pushed in was not going to be as much as I was able to take out. Essentially is how it went. So, I think this is actually the last turn.
I think I used 1 victory march and then I resign.
Let's see. Well, it is not working. Maybe refresh. Okay. So this was the last turn, so let's move this turn. Okay. Take out my recon. Take out an infantry. This damage that like Sami does against other infantries is just like insane too. It's like it's crazy. That's why if you can get that early double time and like just take out those infantry like super fast, it's like, well, there's your win condition, right? I mean, you just opponent has no infantry and they can't do anything, and you can still capture with your like, you know, lower HP infantry like easily enough. And then, oh no, my medium tank. Okay. What else do we got going on here? Oh, you built a rocket.
You know something went wrong when you see me having a rocket as Sami.
Yeah, so the rocket has been built. It's okay to... I don't know. Like, it's... yeah, I mean...
I knew I lost at that point. I knew it for like 5 turns, but I had too much pride. I was like, I can still make it. I'm Sami. I can still win.
That's fair.
But I knew you won. I mean, you're better than
building
me.
a rocket... I'm not better than anybody. I just cheat. So... yeah, this guy, I don't know, it's okay to build a rocket, I guess, because you're attached to the road, so you are able to get it, like, pretty far, pretty quick. But, you know, I don't know.
It
is
trash.
what it is.
Don't make that, kids. If you do it, that means you know you lost.
Essentially. So, I went up and attacked with this one first, just because I wanted to scout what was here too, right? So, I know I could have, like, one-shot it with this one, but I wanted to just scout, just to see. I didn't see anything. And I actually built this APC and more infantry last turn because I realized that I have all these units pushed up here, but I have no infantry left. So I was like, well, I mean, like, That's great that I can reach the HQ, but I can't do anything about it. So, yeah. So I get some more things up there. So let's see what else happens here. So managed to cripple the artillery, capture a property, hopefully. Okay, so I moved this guy up here too. Well, for one, I wanted to kill that, and I knew that you had this guy here, and he was probably gonna attack this. But I figured if you attacked this, then it would have left you open. You would have had to attack from a road or a plane. So that would have made it so my medium tank would have been able to attack, followed up by this guy. I don't know that you have this here though, so obviously that would be like a problem. But as long as my medium tank doesn't get hit, I feel like I'll be okay. And even if my medium tank gets hit, I have my second medium tank down here. What else is gonna happen? Mech spamming. Mech spamming like a pro.
So
okay,
the viewer want to see the ratio, the kill dead ratio. Okay. Stats. Stats.
And that's it.
Stats. Do you hear me?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I hear you.
You wanted to see the stats.
Oh, the stats? Oh, okay. Yeah, you have mouse control. Go ahead.
Yeah. 42 kills, 58 deaths. My, that was bloody, man. 58 kills, 43 deaths. Yeah, that's most likely why you won. My unit count was kind of terrible for like 5 turns. You did the good pushback with the medium tanks. I think the medium tanks is really... The second one is really the one that made you win. And that's kind of cool, man. That was a result I did expect. Because you're better than me. So...
like I said, I just cheat, man. That's all that happens. So it's all good. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, definitely the only thing that saved me was those 2 medium tanks.
Yeah.
That was it. If I didn't have the 2 medium tanks with that push, it would have been all over.
Yeah.
But no, it was a super fun game, and like that really shows like how powerful Sammy can be, but just using double time.
Yeah.
Quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
The very last thing I did on my turn though was I planted all these guys around my HQ because I knew that you did have Victory March, and I was like, well, should probably just make sure.
So
and I was
everyone, do not rely on Victory March. I showed you how powerful double time is. Stop relying on Victory March. If you play Sami for the Victory March, don't play her. Choose another seal. Thank you. What were you about to say?
I don't know, probably something stupid, so it's not important. Either way, it was a good match. I had
I
fun
enjoyed my
this
time. It was very fun. Thank you for coming again. Let's do another game after that if you got time. We will do turns, async, and stuff. That was very fun, man. Thank you again for coming. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Nah, just stay hydrated, people, and have a great day. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, stay hydrated. I do agree. It's like 30 degrees here in Canada. Well, at least in the city where I live, it's 30 degrees. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's about the same over here. And I got that dense, like, forest heat. So it's pretty bad. The only saving grace is I'm on Lake Superior, so you got like the lake wind coming in. But no, it's tough.
Yeah. So here again, thank you a lot for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed this very funny and interesting replay commentary with semi-original guy. Like, comment, and subscribe. Go at his channel. He has the Broken Death series. I think it's over, right?
It is over. I've officially fought every single broken CO, and most of them went as you would expect.
So,
but
season
that was
2,
a lot of
I
fun.
want to be your guest when it goes to Kanbai. That guy was terrible. That guy that played Kanbai. It's kind of sad, I'm like, Kanbai forever.
Well, people, there's lots of people are still trying to learn and stuff too, right? So I think, yeah, he could have did a little bit better, but he was okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just, like I said, I just cheat. So it's like, what can you do?
Have a great day, everyone, and thank you again for coming, man. That was fun.
Yeah.